Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here. Welcome to episode 3 of Merging with the Machine, the series through which we explore less familiar aspects of the shmup journey, such as mindset, approach, and overcoming our limitations. These things are important because while it's great sharing videos on gameplay fundamentals, achievements, advanced tips, strategies, etc., I believe shmup psychology deserves a place at the forefront, yet it remains an area seldom explored openly. When we examine ourselves, we gain a greater understanding of how our minds work, and this often exposes parts that no longer serve us beneficially. With this awareness, we can make necessary adjustments that improve how we view, respond to, and interact with things and situations, instead of operating at a suboptimal level. So if you're at all interested in exploring shmup psychology, today's talk is specifically about shifting our perspective on errors and having our minds work for us instead of against us. With that said, let's jump right in. I want to start by saying today's talk is a superfluous one, and there will be some overlap with other topics I've covered previously. The more I explore, the more I see everything is connected, and as much as I like to isolate topics and strive to maintain a razor-sharp focus instead of bringing too many things into each episode, it's sometimes tricky not mentioning things when their appearance supports the main idea in one way or another. So kindly bear with me because I'm sharing the full ramble. Anyway, let's begin. I don't want to speak for others, but at the same time I feel it's safe to say that too often we view or experience an error in our gameplay as a negative occurrence. This view typically leads to growing frustration, feeling defeated, doubtful of our abilities, dismissing valuable information, which is a major disservice to ourselves, and loads of other detrimental attachments we place on them. Viewing things through this negative lens reveals a place where purpose fades rapidly and games are less fun. When I think about my shmup journey and the countless fumbles bound to happen along the way, I want to use those slip-ups as positive moments that get me excited and motivated to continue, not things that trigger an undesirable response, limit my awareness, or have things feeling like a chore. In my experience, the healthiest and most fulfilling way to overcome a challenge is to use the information our errors provide constructively. If we're not being constructive, we tend to miss out on essential details that could completely transform our understanding and approach. So how do we begin harnessing our mistakes in a way that propels us forward instead of leaving us feeling disappointed? That's simple and begins with examining all available data when an error occurs. We want to take note of what happened and precisely why it happened, instead of skimming over the situation. To do this, some people will record their runs and study them after the fact. Others might capture a 30-second clip when they fumble something, or even pause, taking a second to process the error or even keep track with a pen and paper. I always strive to avoid settling for a surface-level understanding of what and why I messed up. Think about how often we take a hit and just keep things rolling without a second thought because we're in the middle of all the action. Sure, it's easy to think we've taken note of what we need to do next time, but unless we're examining the information on a deeper level, we're missing out on the microscopic and often game-changing subtleties of our mistakes. And because of this, we are far more likely to maintain a negative attachment since we aren't taking the time to better understand the situation. On the other hand, if we pay close attention to our errors and what they are telling us, every fumble grants us an incredible opportunity to correct and significantly improve our method and helps us become more proficient overall. This is important because by forming the habit of more closely examining our errors, we train ourselves to recognize the immense value in our mistakes. This lays the foundation from which we can shift our view from a negative one to a positive one. Without that, we have no basis, and it would be like me saying, yeah, okay, you messed up, just look on the bright side, or you'll do better next time. That doesn't help anyone if they don't recognize their errors for what they are, golden opportunities. But the fun doesn't stop there. During runs, it isn't just the fumbles I take note of, but every potential threat or close call I experience, because even those details allow me to make small yet instrumental adjustments that alter my awareness of what needs to be done to reach my goal or perform a specific section as intended. The more I practice this, the more excited I get when I slip up, because it's another piece of information telling me precisely how to do something better. Fumbles are not something to beat yourself up over, but something to fully embrace. When you slip up, it means you're still in the learning phase, and because you're still in that state, errors are a natural part of the experience and to be expected. So what possible reason could we have for viewing mistakes in a negative light when they are essentially the path to accomplishing our goals? If anything, we can be thankful for messing up and celebrate the fact the game has shown us something important that helps us grow as a player. And I'm not saying this has to be taken to an extreme. When you mess up, you don't have to put your life on hold and analyze your mistake for 10 hours. The point I want to get across is that, sure, there may be situations where you fumble and without any thought, you know it's just a matter of moving over a little more next time, and if you do that, you'll make it through more consistently. But what happens when we go a little deeper? We might notice a specific row of pixels or background object, and if we actually line up with that, it's a guaranteed success 100% of the time. I played a game a while ago, and there is a section where you have to travel toward an entire fleet of enemies. Initially, it felt next to impossible to get through without being hit due to their constant shots and positioning. After sitting down and examining the situation more closely to find out what was going on, I discovered that these enemies only attack when you are firing, so you're free to move through the group without issue as long as you're running silent. I feel this example demonstrates how important it is to take a second look instead of messing up, firing non-stop out of aggravation, and ultimately getting nowhere. Additionally, even if you've performed flawlessly for the last 2 weeks straight and then suddenly notice yourself making mistakes, guess what? You're still learning and integrating information. And to be honest, the learning never stops. It's easy to assume that because we've done something perfectly for some amount of time, the learning must be finished and we shouldn't be messing up. This is an incredibly unhealthy mindset because we're placing ourselves on a pedestal with expectations that don't accurately represent our current awareness, memory, attention, and skills, to name a few things. If those things were where they needed to be to avoid mistakes, you would not have made a mistake in the first place. I believe it's all the more reason to view myself as a student of the game because I can never teach the game anything. I can only learn from it, so I allow myself the opportunity to learn instead of projecting judgments, expectations, and negativity on those opportunities. And this is part of why I'm passionate about going deep with every possible facet, because as a player, that's my purpose. I am there to explore and learn. This is where shmups become truly exhilarating because it's never about getting the game over and done with as soon as possible. In fact, the more I practice immersing myself in these ways, the further I want to move in this direction, because it offers facets of experience I'm eager to sink into. For me, it's about establishing a solid connection to the game and building an intimate relationship. I pour my entire being into it, investing time, energy, and focus, completely surrendering myself so I can gain a deep understanding and create something genuinely meaningful from the experience. Hence the series name, Merging with the Machine. This is all about becoming one with what we play. But that can't happen if we always put up negative resistance every time the game is helping us see something. And I'm not saying anything has to be done the way I do it. People can play and approach games or their mindset however they want. But as someone who thrives on going super deep, I absolutely love the path I'm on and wouldn't trade my journey or way of doing things for anyone else's because it's extremely rewarding to me. And that's the amazing thing, you have the freedom to explore and experience shmups any way you want, and ideally, it's in a way that will be the most fun, exciting, and fulfilling for you. But if that's the direction you're interested in, I do believe there comes a time when negativity needs to start being dealt with on a conscious level. So to me, it makes sense to start with something like our mistakes and how we treat them. In conclusion, I want to make it very clear, I'm not saying settle for the mistakes you make in a resigned sort of way, because I encourage you to play to the best of your ability and always improve at a pace that's healthy for you. At the same time, errors are a part of the picture no matter the skill level, so never seek to avoid them at all costs, but instead recognize the long-term effect paying closer attention will have and embrace them as a gift of knowledge when they do appear. I encourage you to view your mistakes as visitors that desperately want to see you thrive and become the best possible player you can be. They do not need to be these unpleasant situations that negatively impact us when they can be the complete opposite. In near future episodes, I'd like to talk more specifically about the benefits of treating our shmup experiences like an in-depth relationship, and ways we can begin aligning more of our consciousness with a creative, healthy, and constructive path. One of my next episodes is on how to escape the vicious restart loop many players fall prey to, as it goes hand in hand with how we view errors. Initially, I planned on including it as part of this episode, but eventually decided it deserved its own time and space. Anyway, that's where I'm leaving things off for today. In the comments, let me know if you already exercise a more positive view on errors or ways you still struggle with them. I believe there's always a path to improve ourselves, and no single way will work for everyone. But by sharing and exchanging, I'm trusting at least a few can benefit from talks like this. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider flinging a like our way and subscribe to keep your days STG infused. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.